Okay, hi everybody. Hello, welcome. Let's get started. It's just a few minutes after 3:30, so we will get this show on the road, shall we? So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you giving up your very valid after school hours. So my name is Kelly Ronan, and I work at Pearson. And I'm joined today on the line with my colleague Barbara Melodic, who also works here at Pearson. So I'll start off by just letting everybody know that your microphones and your cameras are off, just to help the broadcast a little bit better here. If you do want to speak to us, please use the chat tool that comes with this Zoom program. I'll send you all a quick chat so you can see where to find the chat. So there, I've sent you a note. So you're more than welcome to send us any questions or comments through the chat tool. When we get to the end of the session today, I'm also happy to open up your microphones. I just like to keep them turned off to keep the background noise to a minimum during the presentation, but afterwards I will open up, give you the ability to open up your microphones, and you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you see that you'd like to ask. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there we go. So thank you so much for joining us. Today we're here to talk about Mon Réseau Ma Vie, which is Pearson's FSL program. We have level 1 and 2, Mon Réseau 1 et Mon Réseau 2. In Ontario, those levels correspond to grades 7 and 8, but in other provinces, they correspond to different grades. It just depends on where you are. So it could range anywhere from grade 7, 8, 9, 10 even. So we typically just sort of refer to it as level 1 and level 2. So today I have a few slides to go through with you today, and then I'll be showing you a demonstration of our online component that comes with this program, where you will see all of the student material and all of the teacher material embedded into one platform. So let's get started. So I always like to start off by saying that, our author team is made up of experts. And here you can see our author team for Mon Réseau Ma Vie. So what you're seeing here are FSL teachers, coaches, facilitators, CEFR experts, which is the Common European Framework of Reference, assessment experts, and certainly differentiation experts. So have a quick look at some of the names to see if you recognize anyone from your own district. I just realized I didn't turn off my camera, so I'm just going to turn mine off there for a quick minute just to make it a little bit smoother. So Mon Réseau Ma Vie is divided into modules, which offer students a variety of purposeful language learning situations to advance their speaking skills. And it's aimed at facilitating more spontaneous conversations and messages. We like to see students feeling that they have a greater ease and confidence with understanding and interacting with other speakers. So what you see here across the top are the 4 modules for Mon Réseau Ma Vie Level 1. On est en forme, on est capable, on part à l'aventure, and on se débrouille. And across the bottom are the modules for Mon Réseau Ma Vie Level 2. On reste en bonne santé, on se prépare pour l'avenir, on s'informe, and on s'organise. So each of the 4-page learning modules is based on functional language, real-life themes, and action-oriented tasks. In each module, there are 3 different social contexts. You can see that along the left-hand side, context A, B, et C. And they are focused on the same learning goal as the students work towards the action-oriented tasks. So these texts here that you're seeing in this chart are taken from Mon réseau ma vie level 2, module 1, On reste en bonne santé. So you can see here in context A, there are 4 texts, and these are the communication focus for each of the texts. And then you can see the titles of the various texts in the rest of the contexts. So all of these texts here make up module 1 for Mon réseau ma vie 2. So learning is highly interactive, and students, we know, are social agents. So this program focuses on what students can do. Because of the strong links to the CEFR, which you see here in the blue box, students will work towards what are called action-oriented tasks. They are purposeful acts set in a context that students could face in everyday life. These action-oriented tasks are open-ended with many possible paths leading to attaining the specific goal. The tasks actively involve the learners in meaningful communication for a specific purpose in real-life interactions. So what you see here on the right is the blue box that lists some of the guiding principles of the CEFR. And of course, these are the same guiding principles that went into the making of this program. And over here on the left, you see some of the two examples of boxes that were taken, text that's taken from the teacher guide to show you some examples of how we link to the CEFR. So for example, add authenticity to conversations by encouraging students to use expressions for greetings and taking leave, even in short conversations. So value terms, words such as salut and merci as important socio-cultural elements in the conversation. So that's just an example of what you're going to see in your teacher guide as far as linking directly to the CEFR. So students are prompted to engage with the texts in a way that asks them to understand the text, certainly. They might challenge what they're reading or seeing, and they might critique the content as well. There's a variety of texts in the program, and they encourage students to engage in different ways with the different texts. Students are regularly asked to assess and analyze and evaluate their own learning as part of their instruction. So what you see here are just 3 examples of a type of text that you will be seeing in the student modules. So you see here a graphic text, an example of authentic text. So for example, a menu, there might be a newspaper article or a web page. And then on the right, you see, an example of text messaging, cell phone messaging back and forth between 2 students. So students will be given opportunities to demonstrate an appreciation of and an understanding of Francophone culture. So the culture links are very important in the CEFR, and you're going to see them embedded throughout this program. When students make comparisons between their own language and French, it's felt that they really develop a greater insight into their own language and culture and the French language and culture. So here's an example on this slide of a culture capsule, I guess you could call it, that's taken directly from one of the student book pages. So the next few slides will be just showing you some of the support that's built into the student pages. So to support interactions that are structured and guided and spontaneous, Mon réseau ma vie provides students with a pour communiquer section for each task on the performance task pages. So each section, each module has performance task pages laid out for them, and each one comes with a pour communiquer chart. So students here can find a variety of sentence starters and expressions and terms that they can use to communicate in daily real life situations. It's kind of hard to read on this slide. The text is pretty small, but this is an example of a strategy page that you'll find at the back of every student module. So there are strategies for before, during, and after each of the strands of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So these strategies are accessible in each text, and then they're also recommended throughout the lessons in your teaching notes, in your lesson plans. So they are used and reused throughout all of the modules. And then finally, as for support for students, we offer un dictionnaire visuel. So this offers, of course, definitions. It's for support for students when they're reading independently. And I do want to point out that we don't use any English language. Again, the text is probably a bit too small for you to read on this Zoom call, but there's no English here. We're using simple French language to explain the terms and definitions. And where appropriate, we also use images, photos, or artwork to get across the point without having to resort to English language. So before I jump on over to the online component and give you a demonstration of what's included, I do want to talk for just a quick minute about purchasing. So at the moment, from now until the end of October of this year, we do have a special offer. There's a 10% sale when you purchase a complete student pack. Now, it's important to know when it comes to the components of this program, you can purchase the student material, the student modules in print or in digital format, which means online. Students get a login to log in. And for the teacher material, you purchase what we call a professional bundle, which includes both print and digital access for teachers. The student digital access is good for 1 year. Of course, the books are good for as long as they survive in your classrooms and in the homes. But the digital student licenses are 1 year long. And the digital teacher license that comes in the professional bundle is valid for 5 years. So that's just a little bit of purchasing information. We will be following up with you after today's session with an email. Somebody from our sales division will be contacting you with a whole lot of pricing information and packaging bundling options. But I do want to quickly just point out that we are having a sale right now. So let's leave the slideshow and jump on over to the website. And I'll just check in with the chat to see if there's any questions that are coming up, or Barbara can, oh, looks like Barbara's already answering them. There you go.
There haven't been any questions, but I'm here and ready to answer. So I'll let you know if anything comes up, Kelly.
That's awesome. Yep, thanks, Barbara. Okay, so please do send us your questions or comments if you have any in the chat. So this now, what you're seeing is our online component. I'm going to show you Mon réseau ma vie 1 today, but you should know that level 2 is set up in the exact same way. So what you're seeing here will apply to both levels. So this is what we call our e-text platform, and it's pretty much divided into 3 different regions of the screen, I guess you could say. Across the top, we have the toolbar, and I'll show you some of the tools that are in here that are included. It helps you navigate and interact with the pages. Down the left-hand side, if you're just following my mouse, is some folders with content, which is, I will show you all of the folders as well. And then, of course, the main part of the window is where the pages load. So the first thing, let's spend a few minutes on the top toolbar. I'll just show you that you turn the pages by clicking the arrow key one at a time. As I'm clicking, as I'm turning the pages, you can see that they are loading in the main part of the page, of the window. You're probably noticing, oh, but I can't see very much of the page. It's awfully zoomed in. Well, of course, we've thought of that. So we have a few different ways that you can adjust the view of what you're seeing. So the first way I want to show you is this icon here where my mouse is hovering. It switches you over to 2-page view. So now what you're looking at is the left side and the right side of a spread, of a 2-page spread. So this is exactly what students would be seeing if they're looking at the printed book. I do also like to point out that the pages of the digital book are the exact same content as the pages of the print book. So if you're in a classroom and you are projecting this up onto a screen and you have students at their desks with print books and they are open, then rest assured that what they are looking at on pages 4, 5 is the same as what you're projecting on pages 4, 5, except for a few small details. So one of those details is this page that you're looking at right now. You can see empty speech bubbles on this page, a wordless page. Well, students actually see in the print version, they see the next page. They don't have the empty speech bubbles, they have the speech bubbles with the text in them. But for teaching purposes and for projecting purposes, we like to give teachers wordless pages once in a while where appropriate, so that you can use them in a variety of ways. You can use them for predicting activities, or let's create our own speech bubbles, our own text to go in these speech bubbles. Let's create our own story. So there could be a variety of ways that you could use this page, and then you should know the next page is always the legitimate real page with the text on it. So we're now in two-page view. Another way that you can change the view is to use the magnification tools over here where my mouse is hovering up on the top toolbar. So you can use the zoom in button to zoom in, and of course the zoom out button to zoom out. So depending on what you're doing, you might want to play around with the zoom, the magnification level. There's a drop-down menu here where you can choose some magnifications, or fit to width, which is this square on the toolbar, or fit top to bottom, which is this square. So there's just some magnification preset levels. And I'm just going to jump back to fit to width. So here we are. And if you know, obviously if you want to see the bottom of the page, we have scroll bars over on the right-hand side. So you can scroll up and down if it's not all showing in the window. So one of the other differences between the digital book and the print book is that we can embed digital media. We can embed assets into this title, into the digital version, because it's digital. So one of the first things you will want to know about as far as, well, what has Pearson embedded, is read aloud of the text itself. So up here on the top toolbar, there's a speaker icon where you're seeing my mouse. If you turn on the audio mode by clicking that speaker icon, you'll notice now that on the page, we've got all these sort of gray play icons next to the paragraphs. So this text will be read aloud if I click it.
Un bol de fruits, c'est rafraîchissant.
So students can listen to the
Les
text.
barres de céréales, rien de plus simple.
Oh, I just want to make sure I'm sharing. Yes,
Des
I am sharing.
croustilles de bananes plantain, c'est épicé. Du hummus avec du pain pita, c'est savoureux.
So that's one way that you can play audio. The text on these pages can be read aloud by using this audio mode up here, the icon at the top. And now we're going to spend a few minutes talking about the other icons that you might be seeing on the page that Pearson has used to embed more media. So first here at the top, where my mouse is hovering directly on the page itself, there are two speakers. Well, these speaker icons represent listening activities for students. This is not a read aloud of the text, but it's an actual listening activity. So there's two of them that go with this lesson. So let's just listen to the first one. I click it, it opens.
Mes collations préférées.
Ah, moi c'est Steven. J'ai des activités après l'école tous les jours. Une barre de céréales est une bonne collation.
So this is an activity that would be described in your teaching notes, in your lesson plans. And some of these activities, these listening activities, come with line masters that you would distribute first to students, and they would follow along with their line master and complete the activity as they're listening to the audio file. Some of them are not line masters, but they're, the students will listen and then maybe turn to a partner to do something or answer back to the whole class. There might be some questions and answers. So a whole variety of listening activities are presented here using this listening icon, this speaker icon.
Kelly, can I interrupt you for a few questions?
Yes, for sure.
So one question is specific to this page with the speech bubbles. Do we have Google Docs set up so that it can be assigned for students to populate with their voice notes or their writing?
So that's a great question. Obviously, somebody's using Google Classroom and virtual teaching to a maximum. So the unfortunate answer is no. Here, these e-texts are not, you cannot interact with the content. You can't type or add anything or add any of your own audio files to the content. This is strictly a delivery system for us to deliver the content to you as a teacher or to the students directly. So nothing can be taken out of this platform or added to it. So certainly students can send you audio files through Google Classroom, through whatever audio recording devices you would use, but we don't have any built into these e-texts. There's no LMS structure built in here.
Great, thanks, Kelly. And the other question was the dictionnaire visuel. Are there sound links to it for differentiation?
So let me go to that page then. Sound links, I don't think so. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but let me go. So at the back of every module is the dictionnaire visuel. So I'm just using the table of contents right now to scroll to the dictionnaire visuel for this module that I'm in right now. So here it is. This is it. This is the page. So we don't have any icons on this page to represent sound. But let me just turn on the read aloud and see. So no, we did not record. You can see here when I turn on the read aloud for this page, I get a little note that says pas d'audio. So there is no audio recording of this particular page. So no pronunciation guides or anything like that for the dictionnaire.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll just go back to the page we were on, and I'll just keep going. I love that there's questions. It means to me that you're thinking about how you might use this with your students. So if there's anything you want to see, or keep them coming. So we've looked at these two icons here on the page, and now if I scroll down to the bottom of the page, there are 3 more icons. Now these represent teacher content. Let me just zoom in for a quick minute here so you can see better. So there's 3 icons down at the bottom, and these are teacher material. So the first one is your teaching notes. So this is where you find, I just clicked it, a new window opens. So this is where you find your lesson plans that are referring to that particular page. So this is lessons 1, 2, and 3 that are referring to student book pages 4 and 5. So this is where you find, essentially this is taken from your printed teacher guide. So if you don't want to carry around your printed binder with your teaching material, it's all embedded right here on the page, all of your lesson plans and everything you need to teach these lessons. Of course, when students log in, if you were to purchase student licenses, students do not have access to this teacher material. Just so you know, all those icons that are down at the bottom, the page for teachers, are not visible for students. So in this program, the lessons are divided into 3 parts. We call the first part Minds On, and then we move into action, and then we move into consolidation. So that's the 3-part lesson plan, like it's before, during, and after, if you will. And additionally, the lessons are also divided even further because we use the gradual release of responsibility model. So what that means, and you'll see these acronyms placed throughout the lessons, it means it starts with all of the responsibility of the language learning lives with the teacher in step 1, and that stands for modeling. That's the M. So the teacher in step 1 is modeling the language or the behavior, and it's all on the teacher. Step 2 in the gradual release is SP, which stands for shared practice. So that's where the students and teacher are sharing the practice together of the language. Step 3 is guided practice, GP. So that's where the students are practicing amongst themselves with the involvement of the teacher, with the support and help of the teacher. And then finally, step 4, where all the responsibility is now with the students. We call that independent practice, where the students are working maybe in pairs or small groups or independently on the lesson, on the language part of the lesson. So that's a sort of a quick summary of how the lessons are laid out. In the margins of these teacher notes, we have lots of information about strategies, about CEFR. We might have some assessment tips. This one, here's a gradual release of responsibility tip. Let me scroll up a little bit. There might be something about assessment. Okay, I'm not seeing that just yet. Within the lesson, if you do have a listening activity, you will see an icon right here on the teaching note on the page to represent the media. It will tell you, oh, there is a listening activity here, so I can see the icon, and I would go over to my e-text to find that icon on the page. Okay, so that's, yes.
Sorry, it's
Yep.
Barbara.
Yep.
Can you tell us what the length of the lesson they are designed around? Like, are they 30 minutes? Are they 40 minutes? Are they all the same?
So they're based on a 40-minute lesson plan, but honestly, that's hard. That's a tough call because, of course, in classes across this country, the periods or the blocks are all different lengths, and you know, some do French classes every day for 40 minutes. Some do you know, once a week for an hour, you know, whatever. Of course, it's different in every school. So really, that's where the teacher's professionalism comes in and takes a look at these lessons and figures out how much of a lesson am I going to get done in my time frame. And as well, we do provide, let me just jump back to the e-text. Here in the Coin de l'Enseignant, here on the left-hand folders, if you open up your teacher's corner, we do have a program overview, which gives you lots of background and planning charts and information about the curriculum expectations and outcomes and things like that. So that's where you'll spend some time figuring out how to make this work with your schedule and your time frame.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we've looked at the teaching notes here, this first teacher icon on the bottom of the page. The next teacher icon is slides, les diapos. So when I click that, I'll just draw your attention to the fact that a PowerPoint file has downloaded onto my computer. So I'm just going to open it up and let you know that Pearson has spent some time. Our authors have found out that teachers actually spend a fair bit of time making PowerPoint slides. So we thought we would help by making slides that you can project that go with every lesson. So always, every lesson, you get teaching notes and you get slides. So these particular slides for this lesson, so it starts with the I can statements, je peux. So these are your success criteria for your students. By the end of these lessons, students will be able to do these following tasks, or just say these things or express these things. I can see here that we've also provided you with some strategy slides. So in this lesson, we'll be talking about je fais des prédictions. So we give you the sentence, the question and answer. Qu'est-ce que tu vois? Je vois, you know, des bananes, par exemple. Another strategy slide here is about j'utilise des mots familiers. And here we've given you some poll questions, so some questions and answers and sentence starters. I can see we've provided you with a couple of maps. So somewhere in the lesson, you'll be talking about les pays francophones and les Antilles, the Greater Antilles. So instead of you having to go off to Google and spend some time finding a map that might have not too many labels on it, that have the labels in French, that has just the right reading level or level of detail, we've provided that for you because it will come up in the lesson. So we've provided it here in your PowerPoint pack.
Can you talk about modifying these slides as well, Kelly?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so because these slides are provided to you in PowerPoint, of course, they are modifiable. You can download it to your computer. You can make some changes to it. So maybe together with your students or before your lesson starts, you decide we're not going to do this part of the lesson, nommer ma collection préférée. We're going to skip that. We'll do it another time. So I just delete it from there and I save the slides to my computer, and now I've modified them. And certainly that goes with any of the slides that we've provided. Everything is live text and modifiable, differentiate it for your students.
And Kelly, if you don't save them, do you lose it completely?
So you don't lose it from the program. It's always available in the e-text.
Just your changes.
Yeah, but your changes are lost, certainly, because when you make changes to them, you have to save it to your own computer. You can't save it back to the platform because teachers all across Canada are accessing this platform and they might not want your version of the file. So you need to just then save that onto your own computer and access it that way. This version here on the platform stays original. And then the same thing for this next icon that you see here. This triplet of icons is for teachers: the teaching notes, the slideshow, and les fiches. These are your worksheets, your line masters. So again, when I click it, I get a PDF file that is downloadable, printable. And this contains all of the line masters, the worksheets, the activity sheets that go with this lesson. So some of these worksheets I think would go with some of the listening activities that would be available. So I'll just have a quick scroll through these particular sheets so you can see some examples of what the activity, what the line masters consist of. There would probably, yeah, I was going to say there would probably be like an observation chart or assessment chart. There might be je réfléchis, so here is a little bit of a self-assessment line master. And again, these are all explained in your teaching notes: when to use them, how to use them, why to use them. That's all explained in your lesson plans.
And
so I think you noticed
all of these line masters, Kelly, sorry, all of these line masters can be shared in Google Classroom, correct?
Yes, yeah, these are PDF files, so you can download them, and now it's a file like any other PDF file that you've ever had access to. It's on your computer, so you can share it out through email, you can share it through Google Classroom, you could print it and hand it out to students, you know, like you would with any other PDF document. Okay, so those are the three teacher notes, icons. I'm just going to turn the page and we'll have a look at a few more student icons that Pearson has embedded on these pages. So I've now just turned over to the next page in the e-text, and you can see new student icons up here at the top and down at the bottom. The same teacher icons, but of course new content. This is a new lesson, so you've got new teaching notes, new slideshow, and new line masters. But up at the top, we have a new listening activity that these icons will become very familiar to you. We have a video, so let me just click the video and show you how that presents. It opens in its own window.
Il fait chaud, j'ai soif. On s'achète une boisson rafraîchissante?
Oui, allons chez Pure Délice, Chloé. C'est tout près et ils ont beaucoup de choix.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there. So this is an example, one example of the video that you will come across in our student material. We have quite a few videos that our author team has scripted and we filmed ourselves. These are Canadian students in classes and in studio. You might have noticed that we have I'm just going to back it up a little bit. So you might have noticed that between these two students, they sound a little bit different. They have different accents. Of course, they're both speaking French, but their accents are different. So that's on purpose. We certainly want to have our students to see themselves represented in our content, but also hear themselves represented. So we have a whole variety of French-speaking students with different sounding accents. And that's an important part of the CEFR, in fact, and so we do want to point that out with our videos. Another thing I like to point out with the video is that we do have a speed modifier here in the toolbar, so you can slow down the playback or you can speed it up. So lots of students find themselves pressing pause and rewind multiple times so that they can understand what's being said. So they might find it better to just slow down the playback a little bit and maybe have a better chance of catching what's being said. And another support that's built into the video is the closed captioning, the CC button. So if you click that, it defaults to off. The closed captioning is turned off, but you can turn it on by clicking Français. And then what happens when you press play is that the captions will show up as the words are being said. So students find that to be a great help to read along as they're listening to the students. Let me just play this line here.
Oui, allons chez Pure Délice, Chloé. C'est tout près et ils ont beaucoup.
So that's some of the support that's built into our video and our video player. And I'll just go back and we'll just keep going through these student icons. So listening activity, video, this green icon represents an interactive game, an interactive activity. So when I click it, it loads and it's a new, oh, my internet is not very stable. Let's see if I can get it to load.
While you do that, I just wanted to mention one thing, Kelly, which was when you were talking about the closed caption, no need to show it, but when you go into the closed caption, you can also change the fonts. You can change the color of the words. So for those students that may have a visual impairment and they can't either see a certain color or white on the color, you can change to different colors and you can change the type of font and the size. So it can be much larger or smaller, whatever you need. That ability is there.
Oh, great. Yep. Thanks, Barbara. So here's an example of an interactive activity that we've embedded. Now this has to do directly with the content that the students are learning about on the pages. And at that point, they're learning about menus and icons on menus to represent gluten-free or high in protein or low in fat. So here's a little refresher for them. They can read the descriptions. This is a drag and drop. Where they can read the descriptions and drag the icons onto the pages. We also include other, multiple choice, fill in the blank, card sorting, match-up type questions. So all different types. Do keep an eye on the bottom right-hand corner to know how many pages are included in each activity. So this activity includes 4 pages and they're all drag and drop, but sometimes you'll find a variety. Now these activities are not assessment based. There's no built-in grading or assessment or score keeping. They're just meant as engagement and practice and a bit of fun. So that is the interactive activity. We also have a culture capsule here on the page. I'll just open up that one. and we'll have a look and see. So it's a little reading activity where the teacher would read aloud these paragraphs. So, qu'est-ce que les ados antillais mangent? So what do teenagers in the Antilles eat? So this is where your map of the Antilles would come into play. And then this is just something for you to share with your students, a few paragraphs to read aloud and to discuss, just to hit on the culture aspect. And then there's one more student icon that I haven't seen yet, and I'm pretty sure it's on the next page. Yes, so this is, again, a new lesson. There's a new listening activity, a new interactive game, and a new icon. This is un démo langagière, démonstration langagière. So I'll just click
Mon
it.
réseau, ma vie. 1.
It's a bit of a
On y
video,
prend fort.
a short 2-minute video.
J'observe la langue et j'apprends. La négation.
So these are a series of PowerPoint
As-tu la
slides.
confiance nécessaire pour exprimer la négation? Voici des explications pour t'aider.
J'aime la tomate.
C'est une phrase affirmative.
Je n'aime pas les tomates.
C'est une phrase négative.
So we've embedded these little videos of, grammar. It's a grammar support, short 2-minute videos. We've embedded a few of them throughout the program. Certainly we are not providing whole lessons based around, an element of grammar. That's not how this program is built, but we do understand that students need some grammar support once in a while. So we've put that in here in the form of these little demos. We've got passé composé, la négation. I can't think of any other examples at the moment, but they come up throughout the lessons as needed. So, one last thing to show you. So that's all the icons on the pages, the teacher icons down at the bottom, the student icons up at the top. We've looked at a few of the tools on the top toolbar. And then over on the left-hand side, this is just the last little area for us to spend a minute on, is we have these folders. So the first folder is the table of contents. This is where you find all your modules, module 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all here in your table of contents. We also have a folder called Guide de démarrage. This is your getting started guide. So this has some useful help documents of how to use this platform. We have here the coin de l'enseignant. So this is your teacher corner. This is where you find your program overview. We've taken all of the teaching notes that appear on the pages themselves, and we've put them all together and embedded them in one file here in your teacher corner. And as well, we've taken all of your line masters, your fiches d'activité, des fiches d'évaluation, and les fiches de stratégie, and we've included them here on the coin de l'enseignant, and we've given you your answer keys. And then lastly, we have here a multimedia folder. So the same thing, we've taken the listening activities, the démo langagière, the interactive activities, and the videos. We've taken them off the pages and included them all here together in this folder. So I've covered the demo. This is everything I wanted you to see for today, to give you a bit of a taste of what's included in the program. I'm happy to stay on the line and show you any other pages that you might like to see, or any other pieces of content, or if you just have any questions about using the program. Let me open up your microphones, or at least allow you to open up your own microphone if you like. And don't feel that you need to type. You can always unmute yourselves now at this point and ask away.
Kelly, it's Barbara. Can I get you to show one other thing, just because I know that it's really useful, and that's the push pins. Oh,
sure, yeah. So we have a system here in this eText that allows you to take some notes. For now, it looks like a push pin, and actually here I'm on a page that I can see. I've already demoed this because I can see some push pins already on my page. But up here in the top toolbar, we do have a note-taking tool. So It's going to look a little bit different after we're changing the look of the platform a little bit back after Christmas, but for now it's a push pin anyway. And so you can, if you click on the push pin and bring it down onto the page, you open up a bit of a yellow sticky note sort of situation where as a teacher you can take some notes. So I might want to say, remember to show the video before we get started here. So maybe I have a video about something that I like to show at a particular lesson, and it comes up every year. So I want to embed the video right here on the page. So I just maybe I highlight the word video. My URL box is now active, so I can input a URL here. I'll just input youtube.com. And when I press save, you can see that my word video is now hyperlinked. So that means when I come in to class, I project the book, I see the yellow push pin that says, oh yeah, I've taken a note here for myself. I remember I've embedded my URL. So I open it up, I click the word, and it takes me to the URL that I had embedded, YouTube, or any other, maybe there's a website, you know, about Le Carnaval du Québec or anything like that. So that's another tool that's available here in the eText platform. It's not always going to look like a push pin, but it does for the next few months at least.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So are there any questions at this time? You can unmute yourself and then ask Kelly any questions you have. And I apologize for the dog barking. I'm going to go on mute right now.
So I'm just looking at the question, the QA tool that comes with our Zoom, and I can see a question here that says, I like the quel symbole pages. It would be great if you could create a similar in the form of a Google form that we could post online as an assessment. Yeah, so thank you. That's a great idea. If you can, I will take that back to the editorial team to see, or it's possible, I mean, I'm not sure, that might even already be in the lesson, that might even already be part of the line masters for that lesson. But if not, we love to hear feedback and comments. So, and we do always pass information forward to the editorial team. So I'm not seeing any questions coming through the chat or the Q&A tool with this platform. I guess that means you're happy with what you see. I'm going to end the demonstration now. If there's nothing more, just giving you another minute to type or anything, or unmute your microphones. But I'm not hearing anything come through. So I will thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I know it's hard to fit everything in this period, so these 45 minutes have been very valuable. I hope these 45 minutes have been very valuable to you. I hope you give this program a try. I hope your students enjoy it. And let us know if there's anything you need to know in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today.